aware and was doing something and reporting. From gender-based violence group and from the police, I got one message. Doctor, thank you for trying to get all this information, but I want to tell you, one, what you are getting is a small tip of the iceberg. Two, we promise you it is very difficult to penetrate this problem. If you have a way of exposing it, please do it. We shall support you, but we don't know how you'll do it. Before I could finish, even start thinking of what to do, we get a case to put fire in me. A man makes his child pregnant, big girl. Now, last year, but one, the same man made the baby of the baby pregnant. Somebody reported that the man was apprehended. When he went in, his wife and all his relatives started threatening the person who reported. Her life was in danger. Why? Si anaingilia family. That's how far we have gone. So that now, when I got that case, I said, whether it is me fighting alone, I am going to go, but God help me bring people. You have 55 million. I'm sure you can get a few remnants. Let's go on. So I had to start now thinking, probably as a doctor, what is the problem of incest? First of all, the physical trauma. I hope you all read about the story of the girl who died earlier in the year, a few months ago. This is a girl of about 10 who had been violated by an uncle. He did so much damage there that she had to go through operations to try to reconstruct her. Unfortunately, she died after the third operation. So the amount of damage which is down there, we as gynecologists, sometimes we don't know where the anatomy is. You know, we are taught what is normal. What is abnormal is something you have never seen anywhere. So you have to start thinking, what do you do? And nobody seems to think of the danger and the damage they are doing on that little girl whose reproductive organs are not ready for that action. Even if they were not from such a big man with a big thing. Then psychological. These children are traumatized. I remember one time being called to go and see whether we can have a place in our rescue center. And somebody, a teacher, called me and said, we have this girl. I said, what's wrong with the girl? Said, you see, she was in class, Saturday 4-ish, and the teacher noticed this girl is not concentrating in school. She's just withdrawn, and she sat there. So the teacher asked her what's wrong, and to cut the whole long story short, she told the teacher, I don't want you, I don't want anything, I don't want school, I don't want anything, I don't. So the question is, why don't you want? So she said, you see, my father beat my mother, and my mother ran away. My mother left me with my father. My father has been doing bad manners on me. Now I was told I was pregnant. He took me for an abortion. It was very painful. I do not want anything, and I don't want anybody. So the question is, what do you do with this child? They were asking, do you have a place for her to come in? This was from the Children's Department. What am I trying to say? Is that we have a society which has developed what I'm calling social orphans. They're in your house, okay? But they're orphans. There's nobody to protect them. And that's why I feel we should all be angry enough to go. First of all, bring it out in the public and fight it. So you can look at all the other things which happen to the person, the low self-esteem, the depression, the what. And by the way, by the time they grow big as adults, those who end up getting married, they have turbulent marriages because of what they went through. We were told the other day of a woman of 49 whose marriage broke. But when the counselor was counseling her, she went back to discover it was because of the incest that she had gone through. So it's not just that little child you're affecting a society which is going to come up. Some of them are involved in drugs and alcohol because they cannot cope with the thing. And what are we doing as a society? Oh, there's a lot of mental illness in the schools. Who can come up with a program of diagnosing and dealing with it? We are causing it in the house. And we are keeping quiet. The religious leaders. I am hoping you are now getting worked up to go and get programs to the youth, to the Sunday school, to the women ministries, to everybody to protect our children. No, go back, we have not finished. Now, I want to touch on the other two and say here that one of the things that got me very excited in this is when somebody came and told me, do you know the National Syndemic Group, Disease Control Council, is dealing with a triple threat? I said, what's a triple threat? They told me HIV, adolescent pregnancy, and adolescent GBV. And quickly I told my mind, what is the worst GBV? It is incest. So I had to find out who Dr. Masha is. We had never met. I went to her office, and I told her, do you know this is the worst thing that happens? Can we, as we are talking about HIV, emphasize on incest? Why? It is the mother of the other two. These girls are getting pregnant. So as you are removing the pregnancy, mnaita miba ya utotoni, the adolescent pregnancy is born out of incest. HIV, there are some people who believe in some cultures that if a man sleeps with a virgin, the HIV is cured. So again, there is that HIV brought in from incest. So incest is the mother of all of them. And I want to say I'm very, very happy with this group because they have gone to look at the social root cause of some of these problems. I'm sure they will be sharing their data, which will show you that HIV in adolescence is increasing. It is increasing yet. Why is it increasing from? Mainly from the home. So we have to sort out this home issue. We have to sort out the home issue. And we are hoping these men who are here listening, and they're going to mobilize all the men. Mr. Nyaga, you have a big job. Let's go on. Now, but let's look at why this thing is swept under the carpet. You know, in the African culture, we hardly talk about sexuality. It's quiet, you know. It's supposed to be known but not talked about. It's kind of sacred. Most parents do not discuss sexuality with their children. But those who do, we get good reports. There was one child who, I'll give this a true story. A small child of nursery. The grandfather was not well. He came to live with them as he went to school. She went to hospital. And one day she ran to the mother and said, Mommy, can I tell you a secret? Yeah, what's a secret? Yeah, I want to tell you a secret. Yeah. So he said, you know, since Grandpa came, you know, he's nice, he puts me on his laps. And then Grandpa put his hand here and asked me whether I was feeling nice. Mommy, what is feeling nice? So the mother now is getting worked up. And then he went on. And then he said, and then, why I came to tell you now, he told me he has something there, he can put something in me. Mommy, what is that? What would you do if you are the mother? What would you do with your father? This is his father. Anyway, so if mothers discuss what is good for them with their children, however young they are, they'll have that freedom of sharing when somebody does something about it. But woe unto the children whose mothers are siding with the fathers. We have this girl of 10 the father slept with her. And the girl told the mother, The mother and the father sat down. They gave her a beating. Never say that or tell anybody. The man went on. By 11 years, he had made her pregnant. I took her for an abortion. By 12, he had made her pregnant again and given another abortion. And it went on until the third one. Socially, when a teacher recognized this child had a behavior which was not normal, they discovered it is because she gave the truth. And the third abortion was done because she told the mother, I was just delayed because I was talking to the teacher. What about? Najua na toto yake. She just gave the story. So she was taken for the last abortion. Then the teacher was told what had happened. The man was apprehended. When he was apprehended, the girl went home. She found her mother and her auntie baying for her blood. You cannot let your father go in. We go out and you tell the teachers, tell the police that the teacher asked you to frame your father. So the girl said, Mommy, you know the truth. I'm the one who told the teacher. First of all, you did not even tell me where you threw my baby when it came out. It's a long story. But what am I trying to bring up? I'm trying to bring up the fact that we have a problem and a social problem. Then, in some cultures, thank you, Madam, who talked to us about taboos and cultures and stigma. So nobody wants to talk about it. But why can't we go back to those cultures and tell them that if having an incest baby is a taboo, why don't we stop the taboo action in the first place? We are adults and understanding. Then, you religious leaders, I think you got a cold and lost your voice. You are quiet. We want to hear you. You're supposed to be the moral conscience of the society. What are you doing in those places? You have an exposure of children. You have youth. You have fathers. You have mothers. You have everybody. They are all there and they are coming freely. Of course, they pay sadaka, but they come freely to you and they have confidence in you. Why can't you come with a program that you tell people this is wrong? And if you find a member who is doing it, please, even if he gives you a tithe of $1 million, please refuse the tithe and expose him. You people, you have a big job. When you go to madrasa, are you telling your children the same? This, when you talk of religious people, it's everybody. Then there's a problem of ignorance. Even if I know I'm going through incest, where do I report? How many people know that there is a gender violence desk in every police station? How many among you know that? Maybe very few. Not only that, okay, they have a line for 1195 or so and so. How will a 10-year-old report, even if she knew it was wrong? She doesn't have a phone. She doesn't know. So she'll just be molested and killed in the house. And then we have to deal with this protection. We have to deal with this protection because the perpetrators are being protected. Remember the story I said first, that even the in-laws of this lady have ganged up with the lady so that they fight for her husband as they destroy the 2 children, the daughter and the granddaughter. What kind of a society is this? Tell me. What kind of a society? There are others who have communities that organize kangaroo courts. Nyumba kumi, everybody. Ini mambo ya kinyumbani. Thank you, Father. Some of them even kill a goat to pacify the whole thing. The girl was not even given a piece of meat to eat. They eat the meat and the matter is finished. So we have to ask ourselves what we are doing. Then we have the judicial system. In most cases, these cases go on forever. until either the child has outgrown, until the body is tired, until there has been enough time for compromising, whatever it is, but justice is not given. But here I want to say, one of the judges called me last week, and she told me, hey, you know God is answering your prayer. I asked her, which one? She said, do you know, we are starting to have gender violent courts established in Kenya. So we are getting somewhere. Bishop, we are going to push them. Can you make those gender violence courts to have emergency cover? So if somebody is brought by the police, was caught with the daughter is, because if you release them, she'll go back to the same man. Pick that man, take him for a quick case, lock him in, and remove him from the society. You saw this man from Kirinyaga, a pastor who was jailed for 140 years because of his 2 girls. That's the kind of thing we want to be done immediately. Not to keep on saying, okay, we are repeating this. No, catch these people and put them in. Even if it's your son, let him go and face. And by the way, the case of brothers is becoming very serious. We had to look after one girl who was 14, made pregnant by her brother, 15 or so. And the parents realized she was getting bigger. So when she was asked, she said, yes, my brother. So I don't know how they reprimanded the brother. But when they woke up in the morning, the brother had hanged himself. And he was dead. Now I asked, Lord, forgive me. But do I say it is good riddance? I don't know. But now the question is, this pregnancy is big. They said if the baby is born in that home, family, all of them will die. I don't know whether there's scripture in that, or maybe they were not Christians. So they sent the girl to Nairobi to her auntie, and the auntie got us, and then she brought her to us. The girl went ahead, got a baby. The baby was adopted, being a taboo baby, and the girl went home. Imagine they didn't die. So then I thought, quickly, you are religious people. The Christian culture, thank you, Bishop, for reminding us. Thank you, where's my son? Sheikh, he has gone. Hassan Kenywa, telling us about Islamic. I had to find out what does the Hadith say. And I even went to the Hindu. So these are the main religions in Kenya, and none of them is for incest. So can we all get up and remind people what is written in the Quran, what is written in the Hadith, what is written in the Gita, what is written in the Bible? Even if you go to the African culture, the wazes, no, it was not allowed. Let's go on. And then there is the Sexual Offences Act. You'd see in a clip describing what is incest is. But I was happy to see that if anybody has a knowledge, sexual knowledge of a child under 18, the offender should be sent to jail for life, whether there is consent or not. And do you know many lawyers are helping the culprit by telling them, okay, when you go there, make it into defilement, because incest is a very bad thing. And not depending on who the judge is. But they should go in for life. And that's what I was saying. With these GBV courts, can they be emergency? They are dealt with quickly and it's whisked out of the society and you throw away the rotten apple. Let's go on. So how do we stop this incest? I think first of all is to deal with anybody who deals with the children. Those are the schools. They are with the child all through. The child has confidence in the teacher, and they are likely to tell them stories. Children, by the way, tell teacher stories. If you want to know what happens in a family, ask the teacher. You know, mommy and daddy, my daddy was beating my mommy last night, and she ran out, and she slept in the cold. A child will tell the teacher. And to her, she's telling a story. So they are the same ones who are likely to find that this child is dressing differently, this child is not walking very well, This child has withdrawn all of a sudden and can sit quietly and teach the child, ask the child the problem. So where you are teaching the child, in schools, academic teaching, then we come to the moral teachings that we are teaching them in our religious institutions. If they go to madrasa, include that topic very clearly. When you come to the temples, let it be mentioned. When you go to the churches, oh, you church leaders, I keep on telling you, you have free people who are ready to listen, and they are going to listen to you, and even pay you for listening. So give them all the information. Make programs for Sunday school for children to do it wrong. Involve the youth groups. Involve the young professionals. Involve even the women's ministry. And I'm glad we have Mrs. Adoyo here. She is the chairperson of the Christian Women of Kenya. Mrs. Adoyo, please can you come up with a formula of what we shall do to make women wake up and respect their motherhood. So we need the faith-based people at the forefront of this fight. Then we shall involve the Ministry of Education. I don't know whether there's anybody here from the ministry. Is Mr. Kariuki here? We had invited somebody from the TSC. You know, these people are looking after the people who are looking after the children. You may not know, there are some teachers who have lost their jobs because they got a story, they reported it to the principal. The story was investigated, it was found it was true, but who is the father of that child? A top somebody. So they are removed because of spreading such information. You want to tell me to sit down? Let me talk to these people. But I'm not very far from finishing. So when you come to the education sector, we must have people who are looking after children being protected. We must empower them with the knowledge that if you get that child, what do you do with her? Like that lady who didn't know what to do, a teacher who didn't know what to do with the child, after she knew, the child went home and told the mother, the teacher was asking me, and I said, if she was empowered, she would have kept the child with her. But the child went home and ended up with an abortion. So we have to empower them and make sure that they have protection. Then this is what has excited me recently. The work of NDCC, the National Syndemic Disease Control. Because when they are fighting the social reasons, the social causes of the HIV, the gender, the incest, and the pregnancy, they have gone to the rural areas, to the communities. I had the privilege of attending one of their meetings in Kwale, where they had the county commissioners, the assistants, they had chiefs, the assistants, they had the religious leaders, they had Yumba Kumi, they had elders, they had everybody brought together and talked to about the 3 threats. And what is happening is because they're able to go to the county level, where everything has been hidden down and covered, people start talking. So we are looking forward to a time when everybody will shout at the mountaintops. And because there have been, Madam CEO, please come and sit here, karibu sana. Yeah. I think you'll be introduced, but there are many madams, but this is Madam CEO of this organization, which I was telling you, has come to a point where they have seen the reason for social involvement in fighting these 3 threats. And I applaud you for that. I mean, women are not reporting, men are not reporting. It takes one woman to realize the value of motherhood, to realize the value of children, to say, I'm going to be the mother of Kenyan children. I'm going to protect them from their guardians and parents. This is exciting. So if you can go and support the work that they are doing by reinforcing it at the community level, you will do a very good thing. And all of you are from all over, from the communities, from the counties. When they come to your county, get even other church religious leaders to go there. If they go to mosque, let them go. Let them listen and know what it means about this. Now, we had talked a little bit about the judiciary. We are glad that now they are going to have GBV courts. We're going to talk about para-church organizations. There are many organizations that deal with the youth. I'm glad we have one of the youth pastors, a young pastor who is doing a lot of work on the youth. Let's see how we can bring up all this youth. We have those people who do scripture union. They come with materials for the young people. They have programs in the primary schools, high schools. In fact, one of the counselors from there was telling me when they were counseling young people with mental illness, they're saying, is it possible for us to stay in school during the holiday? I said, why? I don't want Daddy to go and do it to me again this holiday. I was talking to another reverend who was with a university as a chaplain. He told me he had to cancel many girls. They started being violated when they were small. Now they're at the university and they're saying, can we stay in the university without going home during the vacation? We don't want it to be done. You know, uncle is still there. But daddy is still there. They're going to do it. And I don't want it to be done, and I have nowhere to go. Are you saying that we have a problem? I am hoping so. Then we have a lot of NGOs that deal with the children and children's welfare. Look at the areas where you can collaborate with them. You may not agree with all their things, but at least look at an area where you can work with them and rescue our children. Media, I'm glad the media has come. And we are happy with the media, but they could do more. Whether it is the print, whether it is the electronic, whether it is social. And by the way, we are doing a social media campaign. We've done it for 2 weeks. We are going to continue. If you go to the YouTubes, you'll be told how it is done. Me, I don't know. But you can read those things about this campaign. It's going to come out, and it's been coming out, and many people are now speaking, saying, yes, I know somebody, yes, I was done. And that is the conversation we want to go on. But media people, please do more. Highlight. When we read of a man who recently, the one who had a child of 10, and the girl used to say in the morning that she's feeling pain down there. The father would tell her, yeah, I think the devil visited. And when they went to call the magistrate, yes, the devil visited. It was him. And he would give that child alcohol so that when the girl has slept, he would do everything. But in the morning, she feels the pain. This had to be said in a court. So he was told, where's Shetani? You know, Satan has a lot of problems. Because even where people bear false witness against him, why don't you leave him alone? Even the one who went for 40 years, you know, he also blames Satan. But you know, Satan alindaganya. How is a man of God fellowshipping with Satan to be advised? Are those what you are calling fake pastors or what? I have no idea. But you can see what I mean. Media people, please shout it on the rooftops. Make it a national conversation. And then I was thinking, probably we could have, even schools, they usually have yearly music festivals, we have drama festivals, all those competitions. They can be brought in, and we can use them as a way of disseminating information. And then, of course, we can involve the corporate sector. They do a lot of social things, but you can ask them to specifically help with this incest campaign. And this, I want first of all to say we are very, very grateful. You are going to see the content that we have made. We have made documentaries. We have made clips for the social media, and we were financed partly by the Cooperative Bank of Kenya. So if we go to the banks, if you go to these people who have a bit more money, you know, they're keeping all the money when you have none in the pocket. If you go to them and they give, we can go ahead. So let us go on. So what am I saying? It's a call to action. We must actively break this silence. 2, we must take a strategy of how to stop the incest. You don't just make noise. If you see a hyena there, say there's a hyena. Run after it and kill it, or a snake. So we have found a snake. Why don't we kill it? The next thing, we have documentaries which you can show in your mosque, in your schools, in your churches, and we avail them to anybody who wants to show them. They are free. We'll give you links and things like that so that you show them and get everybody ready to do it. And then any platform you get, if there's a birthday party, somehow throw in a word about incest. Oh, this girl looks so beautiful. Hey, I hope you uncles are not looking at her as a beautiful girl. You know, you have thrown a word of incest. Yeah. Or you see a brother with a daughter. Oh, that's your sister. I hope you're protecting your little sister. You know, you start throwing words everywhere. And then you report all the cases. Do not hide them. Even if he's the elder of your church, you can take him to the police at night if you're worried about the congregation knowing. But remove him. And then pray for morality in this country. I think the moral degradation in this society is a bit too much. Remember, somebody quoted Wangari Maathai in the Humming Band. You can do a little thing on your corner. And to this, I want to applaud once again. Somebody who has worked for the children of Kenya. This lady, please stand up. Please clap for her. She's Dr. Ruth Masha. She's a CEO of this national syndemic, for those who don't know her. Imagine, I was thinking the other day, sit down. I was imagining the other day, can you imagine somebody, I haven't asked her how many children she has, or whether she has girls, that she sat down and she thought, we must fight for these children. And when we talked about incest to her, she said, yes, that we have to speak around. So if we had another Masha and another one and another one, another Excellency Mrs. Kashagwa, you know, we can fill this whole country with a message and we can take action. So remember, you being people of the Bible, there's a question that is asked in Isaiah 49, verse 15. Can a woman's tender care cease towards the child she's breastfeeding and the child she has delivered? Unfortunately, the mothers in this nation, except a few like Mrs. Masha and Mrs. Kashagwa, and a few of us, have abandoned. They have stopped loving. In fact, I was thinking, and I put it there, I think I want to give Mrs. Masha a name, a new name. I want to call her Mama Huruma. Please clap for her. I think we call her Mama Huruma. The Bible is talking about compassion on the children. She has her compassion on the children of Kenya, and she has taken action on that. So Mama Huruma, karibu sana. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Kagia. I think when Dr. Kagia and Dr. Masha met, there was an intersection of ideas that will save our children. And she tasked us to look for her. I had not known Dr. Kagia before. So we started looking for her to sit down and start planning this movement. We are happy that we've started small, but the movement is growing, Daktari, as you can see in this room. She has done part of my work introducing our CEO, Dr. Ruth Laibon Masha. So I hope she has settled to be able to speak to us and officially open this session so that we have the discussion. Daktari, the discussion started immediately with the reverends who have spoken here, the clergy from SUPKEM and all the others. They have given very sound teachings, specifically from all these religions on incest, and we are really encouraged. They have challenged us men to be protectors of our daughters, our children, our wives, our cousins, wherever we are, whichever position you are as a man, to protect the children. So at this juncture, we want to welcome our CEO, Dr. Masha, to talk to us on how they started this journey and how it fits into our triple threat campaign as NSDCC. Welcome, Dr.
Thank you very much, Ruben. And speaking after Dr. Kagia, it's very humbling. I'm truly humbled. And I was just sleeping there with a sore throat, but I kept telling myself, I must wake up today and come. No matter what happens, I must be here. And when I started coming out of the house, actually, I felt the sore throat was disappearing. I think for me, I just want to thank all of you first for accepting the invitation of Dr. Kagia, the invitation of Musundi and others to join us today. And when I looked at the data of 2018, we were speaking about 418,000 girls who had stopped being in school because they were pregnant that year. These are girls that were reporting to the health facilities. But then I looked again into that same data. As we went to 2019, the ages were becoming younger and younger, 10 to 14. And then my work isn't to speak about HIV in the context that we can't speak about sex and the sexual encounter of the child that is first of all ungodly, unwanted, and then it's also unprotected because that's why they were also getting pregnant and they were also getting HIV. And then the first question then I asked myself, so we have a big problem. What shall we then do as a country? And we've all been doing our little effort. There's been so much going on. Every county, Kilifi County, I could see action where even pregnant girls are being asked to come and talk to the other girls so that the girls don't fall prey to men. But then no one was speaking about who is this man. We worked hard. The next year, of course, as a country, there was a bit of shouting. Then when the media came in during COVID, and congratulations to the media, they came out and went boom and told the country, actually, pregnancies among children and adolescents are becoming a major challenge of this country. And we put blame on several things. Of course, sometimes we said it's alcohol and drug abuse. We have said it's all these men. But we were not pointing out a finger at one big elephant in the room, incest. And so when Dr. Kagia, first of all, I think she called me, and she was introducing herself, and then I said, yes, we actually are looking at a layered challenge. And this layered challenge of HIV, pregnancies, and sexual and gender-based violence is so connected to the social fabric of our society. But also, it is the absence of adults. And it's the absence of us realizing how big the problem is. I don't know how many we are here today. If you talk about last year, we had about 219,000 girls pregnant before the age of motherhood. If you put them in one hall, and you imagine these are children, because when I went to Homa Bay, I personally actually shed tears, holding babies of children of the age of 10. And this girl tells me, the defiler is not someone outside. And they had a local name, they called it Nyoka ya Nyumbani. So they told me the reason why they are unable to challenge the vice is because Nyoka ni ya Nyumbani. And so I left the children and moved aside. It was in the height of COVID because I've never seen more than 200 girls, small girls pregnant at the same time, others breastfeeding, others just come from labor ward. It was overwhelming as a mother. It was disheartening. And when I saw the adults, men and mothers seated in the same compound, telling me how they felt as desperate as those girls that they could not deal with Nyoka ya Nyumbani, I started asking myself, really? All of us adults have all become silent partners. Because that is what we are, silent partners of a vice that you don't want to call out. And so the religious leaders that have been invited here today, if you look at our patterns of leadership in the religious sector, you find that there are more men than women. True or false? And so when you ask some of these girls, who did you speak to? Of course, the first person is the mother. If the father is a defiler, the mother starts first doubting, especially if there are issues of poverty, there are issues of food, there are issues of where will I take the other children. So she's told silent. Sometimes she feels so bad that she starts agitating for help. The next place she goes is a church or the mosque. But who does she meet? Another silent partner, who then gives the instructions to tangalia maneno. Unfortunately, in some cases, if the man wears a nice suit and ties very well and is decent in the church, sometimes the leader just looks at him and says, it's not possible. He cannot be the defiler. I think this girl has been paid by some people to speak about ill of her father. And then the silence continues and the girl continues. And when I started my career, I was working for Family Planning Association of Kenya, those who knew then. And we used to run a show called Youth Variety Show. And I was given the job of somebody called Teen Kajua. Teen Kajua was somebody young people would write to, but they did not know who they were writing to. So the first month, I get a letter from a girl from Dika, Kiandutu. And she describes her situation and how she's gone to high school and her father is forcing her to have sex with her so that he can pay school fees. So of course that time it used to be post office. So she sends a letter to Tin Kajua, I read it, then I respond, I give her information where she can go to get help. Then she writes again. She wrote a total of 6 letters. So I said, maybe there's something, there were no cell phones. I said, maybe there's something I can do. So I talked to my boss and I said, supposing we write to her and say we want to meet her, and we give her the next term, like we give ourselves the post office. The young people here may not understand what that means. You count. We knew how long the letter would take to reach. And so I counted that she needs to get the letter before she leaves school so that and then I told her the dress I'll be wearing and how we were going to do. And then I told my boss, we are going to go to Thika and wait for this girl. That's lots of work. And this is somebody just coming from the crowd within a radio station, a national radio station at KBC. And thanks to KBC, they're still here today. And so we went and waited. And she turned up. So she turned up. And of course, the rest was, we took her for counseling. We talked to her. And then we went to her place because her last letter was like, now at this rate, I'm going to get pregnant. She talked about STIs and how she was burning. And at that point, we actually checked her. She had gonorrhea. And so we went and got the father. The father had live gonorrhea. But the first thing when the father was being arrested, the mother said, this girl is a liar. But then after we did all that, and we had rescued the girl, and we had her, then the next question, where do we take her? Where do we take the girl after that? The mother already is saying, I don't want her. She's the one who has made her father get arrested. So you find this society problem is so big as you go to step 1, step 2, step 3. And the next thing you realize that if you could do prevention, then it is better than coming to sort out the situation where it was. So for that girl, she's just one girl. We were able to help her. But to these other many girls we are talking about, the 219,000 that we speak about them as adolescent pregnancies. The question is, who is responsible? The question is, can a 10-year-old decide she wants to get pregnant? What consent? Because we are speaking about defilement, but we give them a new terminology and say they are just pregnancies. I want to speak about the boy child. The boy child has also suffered. The only difference is he does not come with a pregnancy. And he suffers in huge humiliation and silence. I think as you look at the data, every time you see reported number of cases of girls, we also have boys. I think you have 95, 600 girls. And I work a lot with groups that are affected by HIV, like the one who are men who have sex with men, the sex workers, and all those kind of groups, because as we deal with the disease. And as one time, I was in a meeting in a hall like this, and I said, these people look like children. Can you tell me your experiences? And I discovered you're actually dealing with childhood trauma of boys who have been sodomized. And they told me stories like, tulikuwa tunaishi Kibera, uncle yangu akatoka ushago, alikuwa anatafuta kazi, and then siku moja akanishika kwa nguvu. Then I'm like, you are actually defiled. That does not define you. It is a defilement. It's childhood trauma. We are calling it sometimes names, but this is childhood trauma. But who is this uncle? Who is this man? And I began to think that we have also neglected the boy child because he can't speak. The only time the boy child mothers know is when they start having, you start looking at their panties, you see they have poo in their panties. And it's silence. You are all silent in it. We are silent. The parents go treat their child alone. And because they feel shame inside them, they don't know what to tell the pastor. They don't know what to tell anybody. And we all enshrouded in silence. And that's a silence that this meeting is about. The silence about incest. And Daktari told you, and I've been speaking to women and girls who are older mothers, who cannot have sex because their first sexual partner was a father, a brother, a cousin. They hate sex. When they get married, they are breaking their own families because sex for them was an unpleasant experience. So you're there counseling in the religious circles, but the root cause was at home. And I want to say, this story looks like it's a story about people in low socioeconomic status. No, even in the best homes. I was speaking to a young girl, and she was telling me, we are 3 girls. And so I asked her, how come you people are not seeing your father? Your father is very sick. Why are you not attending to your father? She said, that's a molester. I was in a best home. I was in a beautiful home. So I said, did your mother know about it? And she said, no, we couldn't tell mom. And how did he used to do it? He would call us in the bathroom and ask us to take to him a towel, or you'd ask for something when he's in the bathroom and he'd hold you. I said, really? Because I knew that family. I said, he did that. And so now he's an elderly guy. But then I understood the challenges I was seeing with these girls as adults. The inability to hold even relationships together. Their anger untreated. And the silence of humiliation they have had to deal with for many, many years. And that is why we are saying it is a development issue. That is why we are asking you to join a movement that you actually call it a spade. Even if it's your own brother. We have a CEC, Mbai from Moranga County, who was a former CEC of health. He took his own relative and imprisoned him for defiling a girl. And that could cost him a lot of political mileage, but he did it. And he said, if this is the price I must pay, let me pay it. Because at least even any of my relatives knows that if they ever do something like this, we will not be on the same bed. I will have paid my dues with my political affiliation. I think we should clap for that man. And when I went to Moranga and I found it's true, the number of people Dr. Bai had actually dealt at an individual level, he was basically following the case to conclusion. Because one of the things you're going to learn about defilement and incest is that when you go to report, of course, you come back, and like the stranger, this person is home with you. Can you imagine? You're reporting somebody, then you go back in the evening to sit with them. How is that even possible? Then you decide that the only place to run to is a church. The church doesn't have a safe house. We don't have safe houses anywhere. The pastor can't take all of us to home. The most person cannot take all these girls to his home. So we are caught up in a situation where we are not able to break up this vice. But there is strength in numbers. All we need is to speak out. Speaking out means we are not tolerating, we are saying our society as men, because all men here, I like what Nyaga keep asking here, Nyaga. Most men in this room are good men, right or wrong? Wanaume mko hapa si nyinyi watu wazuri. So how can we, good people, fail to deal with a few elements that are even destroying the good name of men? Men are fathers, they are brothers, isn't it? They are uncles, they love the women in their lives. But then because of the few elements that have the vice, we all join together and now the women stand here and blame the men. No, we are not blaming the men. We should blame the vice and the few men or boys that we are not also working very hard to give them education. So my ask is an action. That one, we need to sensitize men differently. We need to speak to men as men who care deeply for the women in their lives. And therefore, they should also care deeply for the other ones, their neighbors. We also need to think about how do we help men to use their power, to use their positions positively. So if it is a chief, sub-chief, they are not colluding. They are not sitting down in a kangaroo court and asking the uncle to bring cows here and another one and say the matter is over. And then this woman, like one of them was telling me, she has never gone home for 19 years. She was defiled by her father. There was a kangaroo court. They decided what she needed to do, and she disappeared from home. That is somebody who has lost her kinsmanship. She has missed funerals. She has missed weddings. She has missed so much that she would have wanted to enjoy. She has been converted to the criminal. And the defiler is being put back as the hero. He enjoys all this social gathering without shame. Because the only thing that was removed from his positioning is a girl. She's the one who is chased away. You know, you can stay there. You don't want it to bring the shame. You don't want it to speak about the bad things, because maybe you are the one even who entered to his bathroom naked. You know, she's being blamed, and she's kept away years and years. She can't take her own grandchildren to see her grandfather. And the children start asking, why I mean, their grandfather, the children start asking, why can't you go see Guka? She doesn't know how to explain that this Guka is the father of you. It's so difficult. And the difficult issue about incest is that we also don't know how to deal with it. And that's why we welcome people like Dr. Ria. When you see you having to sit with these girls, especially the ones that have been violated, they have incest, they don't even know what to do with the baby. So on one side, we stand and say, which is okay, we are protecting life, isn't it? Now on the other side, the child has this child pregnancy, a pregnancy that is reminding them. I saw on Tuko one of the women saying that every time I look at this boy, I see the face of my grandfather who defiled me. And I hate him so much. Look at why we have taken the hate to an innocent boy whose mother now has transferred the anger of the act to the child. So who are we creating in a child? Unloved, isn't it? Rejected. He just sees the mother behaving funny. Anytime he makes a small mistake, the mother picks something hard, hits him. He's just taking in things that don't belong to him. But because the mother has nowhere else to take the anger, she's taking the anger to this boy. And that is why this movement can only be done for people and by people with a passion. And I like the call Dr. Kagia is making for all of us. Let's join this movement from the heart, not just from, the perception that it's something to be done. It has to be something to be done from inside us, no matter how many distractions we get. Because we get distractions. When we started this issue of layered challenges of teenage pregnancy, and I told Musundi and the team, you have to leave Naivasha hotels. You have to put the tent on the ground. You don't become a popular leader for that, because you are removing something people are used to doing. If you say, let's go to Mashinani, we sit on the tent, we sit on the ground, that's not what everybody has been doing. And we have to agree to go to those uncomfortable places where, as a religious leader, you have to say that, well, I preached about going to heaven, which is good, but you can't go to heaven if you don't address this issue. And if only, like Professor Wangari Maathai, you pick up that one issue, are the only issue you must speak about every single platform you have, like you have been requested to do, I know we can do it together. We can save the children, and we can really not be bystanders anymore. I don't expect the faith communities to be bystanders. When you see data, we must ask who is behind this data. If you see those people in this room, I know unfortunately we are not able to bring some of them. If you meet those girls, it is heartbreaking. It is indescribable. You actually do not know what to say. Most often, I don't know, especially the ones who are defiled, and then we diagnose them with HIV, and then we give them the tablets, and then we are telling them, you are going to start taking these drugs every day of your life. And then, in addition to that, we also tell them, you also need to prevent this other child who is in your belly from being infected with this virus. This is a child we are talking to. The trauma goes back to the service provider. Because what are you talking to a child? You're telling her how many diagnoses? Her sexual encounter was one thing, shocking. Secondly, you're telling her now there's something growing inside you. And this growing inside you, there's also a virus that has come in. And then plus the virus, I also need you to prevent another one from getting to another child that you're carrying. And then we start talking to this child about breastfeeding and exclusive breastfeeding and how she has to bring the child back to the clinic. Remember, we are speaking to a 10-year-old and the caregiver who is also heartbroken, and you are there trying to tell them medical, the science, yeah? How do we prevent? And then, unlucky for us, we don't get to know about these pregnancies early enough, especially if they are younger age. They are brought to us too late. Too late to prevent the mother transmitting HIV to the child. Too late. And therefore now, we end up now with 2 cases from that one incident. And so, join us. It's not just about that HIV, it's about the society, the breaking of social fabric, and all things that goes together. But then our own platforms are free God-given gift of the ability to open our mouth and speak. Speak out. Break the silence. That is my message for you today. Please go from here, just like Daktari has said, and be the messenger that we are going to stop, and a society will come out of all these people in this room that is not condoning, that is not accepting for the violations to continue becoming a silent epidemic within our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Masha. Pastor T will tell you this is a message where you call an altar call, and everybody comes to the front to repent, because we have all sinned and fallen short of our role as parents, as fathers, as brothers, and that is the message we are hearing from our speakers. So I think one of the things also I heard in the morning was Bishop Warari. He told us there is hope. And one of the things we gain hope is when we have knowledge. So I want to invite one of the men who has been working with us to just guide us. How do we get empowered? Because in the circles of Christianity, we say if you have the light, then you perform better. Maybe you have been in the dark. Sindio? So I want to invite my friend, Mr. Nyaga, to come and just talk to us. Not necessarily as men, but how do we go forward with this challenge? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwana Musundi. The CEO, National Systemic Disease Control Council, Dr. Kagia, Excellency Margaret, and the Bishop, all the clergy, everybody who is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I know it's not easy to speak to people, particularly to talk after such powerful speakers have spoken, and when people have not taken breakfast. I can see it on your face. I have not taken breakfast either. But also we are told by the medics that it's easier to understand when you are hungry. So I'd rather speak to people who have not eaten than to people who have eaten. And in a little while we are going to eat. This is good fasting for the sake of this country and for the sake of our children. As you have been told, my name is Frederick Nyaga, coming from an organization called the Men Engage Kenya Network, which brings men and boys on board to promote gender equality. And one of the things that we target is prevention of gender-based violence. One of them, of course, being the incest we're talking about. And in case you want to know more about the organization after this, because I'm rushing for another engagement in the Rift Valley at Lake Elementaita, where we are meeting couples. If you want to know about the organization, you can see Catherine, the program manager, Gidhae. She will give you more information. And we have been working very closely with the National Systemic Disease Control. I feel humbled when I'm asked to speak in front of powerful people, powerful speakers, good researchers, lawyers, the clergy, Mukabana from the directorate, and everybody else here. I am humbled. But because I was requested to come and say something, particularly because of men, I have no alternative but to speak. But when I was requested to come and talk, I was wondering, should I come? Oh, Father Mutie, we have been together for a long time. And my bishop there, when we were talking about talking to men on how to increase the uptake of HIV services in Homa Bay and Siaya, I still remember that. And so when I was requested to come and speak, I was wondering, should I come and give a talk? Or should I come and preach? Then I was told there are so many preachers here. Should I come and train? There are so many trainers here. Or should I bring politics? Because I've worked through all those fields. So allow me to mix all of those. I'll throw a word here from the Bible, if you don't mind. And I'll not quote any verse which is contrary to the Quran. Because I also read the Quran. I might throw a word here or there from the Kenyan politics. I have been there. I'm also a parent. And I'm proud to stand in front of you. And one of the persons listening to me also invited me. We had met earlier, but in a different environment altogether. My wife was pregnant and about to deliver. And the pregnancy was mine, of course. So I needed somebody who could deliver her in a Christian manner and with a loving heart. I did some research, asked friends, and I was told, look for Dr. Jean Kagia. She's the one who delivered our last born. From there we parted. And we kept on meeting different areas. And later I decided to tell her the truth. You are the one who delivered our last born. She's now working in Britain, Bradford University. That's not why I came here. Allow me to tell a story. One of the most read books in this world is the Bible. Do you agree with me? Hey, I know you're hungry, but you can respond. I'm asking, one of the most widely read books is the Bible. Is that true? And the Quran. And forget about this. Don't put that, forget about that. So after I've given the story, I'll come and give only 8 reasons why us as men need to break the silence. Let us sit down. This story, I'm giving it because I'm avoiding to give the many life stories that I know, that people have shared with me in the course of my duty. I did it. I don't want to say that because they couldn't be listening to me, or they might listen to me when this story is told. And therefore, I chose a real story, which is recorded in the Bible. It is, and there are actually 2 stories, and they are related to the things that we are talking about. I also read, because this guy has done good research on the Gospels, I recommend this small book to all of you, like all the preachers who are here. It is written by a guy called Dr. Doug Batchelor, who has put all the notes together from the 4 Gospels to bring together the story of a woman who faced the same problem that we are talking about. It happened about 2,000 years ago around Lake Galilee. This girl, her name is Mary. She had 2 siblings. I'm like, Her Excellency, I have 7 siblings. You have 7 brothers. You are the only girl. I have 7 sisters. I'm the only boy. So we can meet outside. This lady, Mary, they were left under the care of their uncle, Simon. Simon was a rich man. Some of you preachers could be hearing for the first time because you may not have tied the knot of this story. A brother was called Lazarus. The elder sister was Martha. My brother Bevi, you know the story, and others. So what happened? She was defiled by her rich uncle, Simon, a man of status, a man of God, a leader who was respected, but nobody knew about it. Being a Jew, and a woman for that matter, she had no option. Because when you are defiled by a rich uncle, a respectable man in the society, whom do you tell? Who will believe you? She only did the only things that she could do. She ran away from home and went to live in the town of Magdala. And that's why your Bible tells you she's called Mary Magdalene. Magdala was the Majengo of that time, where prostitutes, sex workers used to live. She ran away and started that life after incestuous sexual contact, defilement by the uncle. Meanwhile, the uncle continued living a very good life. Respectable man. In the church, in the mosque, in the society. Looked good. Until these men wanted to trap Jesus. Remember, I'm not preaching. I said I'm not preaching. There are many preachers here. I'm telling a story. And they said that the only way we could get this man, called Jesus, is to trap him. Therefore, they sent a man to go and sleep and have sex with Mary. Before they had even started, the doors flew open. And they said, "We have caught you red-handed, prostitute." They took the lady to Jesus and said, Moses says, such women are supposed to be what? Stoned to death. Have you ever asked yourself, my brother Musundi, where was the man who was having sex with her? Because if she was caught red-handed, it means they were together. How did he escape? Only to be left with the girl. And she's taken to the prophet Isa for the Muslims. And they say, we have caught her. What do you say about such a girl? Of course, she was waiting to die, to be stoned. To cut the long story short, you know what happened. The prophet Isa, the Messiah Jesus Christ, bent down to write. And you know what he was writing? Bread and oil. On this day, he also slept with another prostitute. Odeon disappeared. Bishop Karaoke, on this day, this happened. Your scripture says, as they looked, they heard. You know, sometimes we need to read the books with our brains. When you read, you don't hear. That book says, when they looked, they heard. It hit them hard. They all disappeared. Meanwhile, the uncle became a leper. If you want, by the way, go and read. Let me give you that. Then you can read the story. Because I want now to bring the 8 points that I'll sit down. Go and read it in Luke chapter 7. Read it. It's there in your phone. Not now, when I leave. Don't read now. You can read chapter 7. Read chapter 10. You can join the story together. Matthew chapter 26. John chapter 8. Read of it. The whole of it. Particularly from verse 50 to 59. The story is very well told. And then you can go to Luke chapter 7, verse 36 to 50. You get the story of Simon. Let me now put the notes together. The guy becomes a leper. This lady, you know, she was not stoned. Jesus said, where are your accusers? She said, I don't know. Even her daughter is missing. Yes. Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Many times we condemn children who have been sexually abused, looking for excuses. You know, the other day when we were going around the country, and men were in groups and were being asked to discuss why there is sexual violence in the home, including incest. One of them said, I was listening, you know, sometimes even these daughters of ours, they are not being taught by their mothers how to dress. Excuse me, Mr. Man. Now you're blaming the dress. You sleep with your daughter because of the dress that you bought her. Shame on such a man. Condemning the innocent. Said, neither do I condemn you. Go. She kept on wondering, what will I ever do to thank this man who saved me from stoning? One day, she decides, when the mother, remember the brother died, Lazarus. I'm telling a real story. Was resurrected. And one day Jesus decides to go and have some lunch at their home. And he used to go there many times. And the mother said, this is my opportunity. She went and bought very expensive perfume. She went to buy the perfume to come and anoint Jesus. Put a comma there. I'm giving two stories. That's Mary. She has gone to buy the perfume. The uncle who became a leper. Remember that time when you were a leper, you were thrown out of the home, out of the city to go and live out. You are not supposed to relate with anybody until the priest confirmed this person is good. They went to live there with the other lepers. Moving forward, what happened? Mother faithfully kept on taking food to the uncle who had leprosy. And this is the same uncle who made the sister to become a prostitute. Then one day, mother told the uncle, you know what, uncle? There's a man called Jesus who is healing people of leprosy. If you only can go to him, you'll be okay. After some time, he gathered courage. And with other lepers, they decided to go and meet this man. They could not go near because they had leprosy. There were 10 of them. The story you read about the 10 lepers, Simon was there. And they were shouting, heal us, son of David. Even these guys who are misusing our children, they need to be healed. They are sick. They are sick. Bishop Mutia, how can a man sleep with a daughter, a normal man? That's a sick man. If he cannot be healed through the psychologist, through the counselors, we have a better place for healing. It is called prison. Jail them. And the good thing is, even in jail, we have preachers there. They will meet Jesus in jail. Hallelujah. That is for the preachers. Don't cover them. They can be preached when they are in jail. If they cannot get. Finally, this man is healed. They are all healed. The 10 of them. As they are walking back home, after they have been confirmed, they have been healed. This guy, the Samaritan, remembers, I need to go and thank the man who has healed me. Simon was not there to go and say thank you. So the man went. They realized there were only 9. Where is one? Later they realized that Kumbe, this guy had gone to say thank you. I want now to bring the two stories together. And after that, Simon said, I think I also need to do something to thank the person who has healed me of leprosy. That is why your chapter 7, for those who read the Bible, comes from verse 36. The Levite, who is rich, of good possession, a big man in the community, who is throwing a party to say thank you for leprosy, decides now to call his comrades. You know, Reverend, if you throw a party, you don't just call anybody. Tunaita mapasta wenzako. Akawaita. Now I'm queen of good standing. He's a good man. He's healed. He is big. And he wants to throw a party because he has been healed. And as he's making that party, meanwhile, Mary goes home where he had left Jesus with the brother and the sister, just to find they are not there. Where they've gone, there's a party at the uncle's place. He's throwing a big party. Even that is where Jesus is. So what does the Mary do? She also walks to Simon's house and goes straight for the legs of the man called Jesus to anoint him. And Simon, when seeing that, when he saw this woman coming to the house, he was mad. How can you come here? You are not even invited. He was fearing she might disclose the truth. Remember, he's a pious man. He was not actually mad because the prostitute was touching the legs. He was scared. She broke the perfume, expensive perfume. Then, by the time, Mary was not an ordinary prostitute. Si wale wa koinange, raisi, ni wa high heads. The ones who have good houses, where you drive, you are locked in, nobody will know. You think it's a good visitor, but it's the priest who is being taken care of. It is the MP who is being handled. It is the editor of the newspaper who is receiving the services. And that's the time, as I ride up on that, person says, Jesus decided to break the silence. That's why we're here. To break the silence. He said, I will not let this one go. He tells the man, you can go and read for yourself. I'm not preaching here. I'm not. He says, Simon, there's something I want to tell you, verse 40. There's something I want to tell you. And there's something I want to tell the Simons who are here today. He said, listen here. Somebody under debt of 50 denarii was not able to pay. The same person was owed by another one 500 denarii. The two of them could not pay. He decided to forgive them of the debts, to cancel the debts. Between the two do you think was more grateful? Then Simon understood, what? Kumbe, Jesus knows about my story. I am a worse criminal than this prostitute. He said, I suppose the one who had a big debt. Said, Simon, when I came here, you never even washed my feet. This woman has been washing my feet with her tears. She has been wiping the tears with her hair. You have not done anything to me. It was the turning point of this defiler, Simon. We have so many Simons, but the problem we have, Madam CEO, people have opted to keep quiet. Jesus could not keep quiet. He told Simon, he confronted him so that he could change. Man, why do we need to speak? Number one, remember the main perpetrators of GBV, including incest. Ni akina nani? I want you to answer me. Akina nani? Wanaume. There are people and men like you. Kindly, the men who are here, stand up. If you think you are a man or you have been told you are one. Thank you. Listen to me. It's also good for you because you have been sitting for long. As you are standing, I'm telling you, all the men like you have some connection with the children. If they are not fathers, who are they? Uncles. If they are not uncles, brothers. If they are not brothers, grandfathers. If they are not grandfathers, pastors. If they are not pastors, teachers. They are not teachers, the pressmen. Everybody. They are there. And I'm telling you, these guys can be good role models to change what we are talking about. If only they can play their role. Men, as you are starting up, most men, almost over 60% of the resources in the world are in the hands of men. Instead of using these resources, you know, it was saddening me that we still don't have many shelters, yet men have a lot of resources. Instead of this, they are using their resources to buy sex from children. Men like you, not you. You know, you guys are good. I'm talking of men like you outside this room. They have the resources which can be used. The same men, if you want to. These men, they hold privileged, you know, R and L like my brother. When the Mzungu was bringing the language to us, he dropped the L. We don't have the L, we have the R. So men hold privileged decision-making positions. They are the preachers in the church. They are the MPs. They are the ministers. They are everywhere. These guys, they can make decisions that can change the whole story. Point number 5, I told you there are only 8, and I'll sit down. Number 5, men stand to benefit from SGBV-free and incest-free environment. Do you know why? The men who are listening to me, good as you are, when women and girls look at us, they think we are all rapists. It doesn't matter how you are dressed. They think we are all potential defilers of children. And this is because of just a few men, what Dr. Masha said. And therefore, if we can get rid of the other men, our names will not be tarnished by the others. We start to benefit. And remember, if this guy can defile his daughter, nawako, nawako, you not just defile, you defile and kill her. That's why you get guys who are raping children and killing them. Men, as you are standing, men need to hold other men accountable. Sit down as I do the last two. Why are you talking about holding other men accountable? Allow me again to quote that book. Dr. Kagia, if you read John chapter 21, from verse 15 downwards, you know, Jesus and 12 disciples, one of them committed suicide after betraying him. He is left with 11. He has died, he has resurrected, so what happens? This guy goes to recommission his followers. That's the last one I'm quoting. So when he reaches there, he tells them this, and I quote, when you look at it, he told Simon, and I'm speaking to the leaders who are here, because if you remember, what happened is that Simon Peter said, I go fishing, and 6 others followed him. So there were 7. And he's a leader. Get my point. Peter says, I go fishing. They also say, we go with you. When you are a leader and you do something wrong, others will follow you. Men are leaders. And when this guy confronts them, I'm calling him guy in quotes, because it's Jesus. He comes and asks Simon, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? He says, yes, I do. He stood, take care of my lambs. He asked him a second time, Simon, do you truly love me? He says, yes, Lord, I love you. Take care of my sheep. At that time, do you really love me? Yes, you know it. Feed my sheep. I don't want to go to the theological aspect of that in depth. I just want to quote 2 things there. What are lambs? What are lambs? The young ones of the sheep. So he tells them, you men, you have 2 responsibilities. You must feed the lambs and take care of them. The lambs are the little children. The ones in your home are your lambs. And all the young children in your church, in the community, everywhere, they are your lambs. You will be held accountable. All the men who are here. We shall be held accountable. You must feed the lambs. You must take care of the lambs. You must protect them from the hyenas that we have. And finally, men care about women who are important in their lives. You know, when there was a debate of the Sexual Offences Act, the famous Jokindong one, I still remember the ones of Honorable Simeon Nyachai the late in Parliament. He said, as you are making the laws to know how to deal with the perpetrators, please, can you also make other laws to deal with people like us who will not allow the perpetrators to live? That's what he said. He said, if anybody rapes my daughter or my granddaughter, he will not reach the court. I will shoot him. So make a law to deal with Simeon Nyachai before you deal with the criminal. What am I saying? Most men care about women who are important in their lives. Let me ask the men who are here. Do you care about your mothers? Or your mothers died? I know some of you, your mothers are bereaved. I also lost my father last year. For those of you who have mothers who are alive, do you care about them? Do you care about your daughters? Do we care about our sisters? So, if we do that, then we need to protect them because we care. For the final thing was about the culture. I'm done. This culture issue, some of it is not culture. What do we need to do? We need, one of the things, we need a revolution. We need a revolution. Not a change. I think now, change is slow. Sometimes we want change. But there are times when we need a revolution. When you listen to Malcolm X, he says, revolution is bloody. It knows no compromise. It overturns anything that comes on its way. I'm not sure whether we need change Father Motier, or we need a revolution to stop incest. From where I stand, I think we need a revolution. And a revolution starts with you and me. And the men who are here, we want to take now a vow. Now I'll become a preacher. I was now talking, we need to take a stand. How many men are here who feel that we need to do something to stop incest in this country? How many? Are you sure? Are we committed about it? The only thing that has been in between us sometimes is our traditions, cultures, and beliefs. Give me 2 minutes to illustrate this Unyani thing. Is it okay? I want to get just 5 people. Just 5 people here. Anybody here? I've left the mic just to demonstrate something. I said I'm not sure whether I was going to be a preacher, a speaker, a trainer, or whoever. Thank you. Hi, my brother is here. You know, sometimes we keep on quoting our culture. Some of this culture is repugnant. It has to change. For example, when people start saying that if they start being told that if you have sex with a child, you get rid of HIV. These are the things that are contributing. This scientific research was conducted to know how sometimes we come to embrace some of these cultures. How we come to embrace some of these cultures, traditions and beliefs. And therefore, they did an experiment, scientific. They were using monkeys. And what happened is that the monkeys were starved for quite some time. After being starved for quite some time, they were taken to a room. For now, these are monkeys, all right? So these monkeys were put to a room. And they had been starved almost to death. But in the room, there were bananas up there. From where I come, Bere, South, Embu County. Monkeys love bananas. I also know the monkeys from Kiambu, they love bananas. Even from Kisumu, am I right? They like bananas. So bananas were put up there and a ladder, so that whenever these monkeys wanted to go and eat the bananas, they had to climb. But unknowingly to them, in the setting, because it was an experiment, how do we acquire some of these behaviors? There was some ice. Ice was put in the ceiling, and there were some holes, such that any time a monkey trying to climb up, this ice was dropped on them. And monkeys don't like barindi. They don't like code. They hate it. So these monkeys came to realize that it was the action of climbing up which was making the ice to do what? To drop on them. So they stopped climbing. And any time a monkey tried to climb up, the monkey was beaten thoroughly by the other monkeys. Because we are fearing he is going to cause the ice to drop. After some time, these other monkeys, which had been kept also without food for some time, they decided to substitute the old monkeys with the new ones. But this time, they were not going to drop any ice. But the monkeys didn't know that the ice was not going to be dropped. So this old monkey was removed. And a new one came, and a young one for that matter. When this monkey came in, hungry, she tried to climb up to reach the bananas. What happened? She was beaten thoroughly by these other monkeys. Why are they beating her? They are fearing the ice. This old monkey was removed, my brother, and this new monkey came in. When this monkey came, very hungry, wanted to go up, was beaten thoroughly by the old monkeys, plus even this new monkey. This one is even beating him more. This monkey was removed. You can't become a monkey by Bishop just come. When this man from Kiambu, and we met up to sort it out. When he came in, and trying to climb up, was beaten thoroughly by the old monkeys, and even these two ones were beating him. Let me ask, why are you beating him, the old monkeys?
Because we don't want eyes.
Exactly. What about you monkeys? Why are you beating?
We found them beating.
Aha, exactly. Exactly. The monkey was removed. A new one came. It doesn't matter whoever comes. Who has not come here? Beautiful. The story continues. The monkey comes, tries to go up, is beaten thoroughly by the old monkey plus the new monkeys. And finally, the last old monkey was removed. And the final new monkey came in. And when the monkey tried to go up, was beaten thoroughly by these other monkeys. At the end of that experiment, these monkeys could not climb up. They were dying of hunger. And the bananas are where? Here. And they kept on fighting. Why are you fighting, you monkeys? Tell us.
It's culture.
Aha.
Yes, we are indoctrinated.
Aha.
Yes.
We copy what was happening.
Just sit down to them.
We were copying what the other monkeys were doing.
Aha.
I just came in.
It's true. You just came in and you found them fighting.
Yes.
Yeah, he's saying he just came in and found them fighting. Do you know what, my brothers and sisters? We are like monkeys. Tuko na unyani mwingi sana. Tumejaa unyani. We found people doing it, we do it. Monkey, can you tell your brother, your sister, wacha unyani, sahi. Mwambie ache unyani. Unyani ndio natusumbua. We have to leave our unyanis. You even find some people taking unyanis on the pulpit. Mtu anasoma Biblia, interpreting it through their culture. Biblia inasema hivi, unaisoma Kikikamba, Kikikuyu, Kiunjaluo. You know, sometimes I get mad, preachers, during the weddings. When you are joining, then you tell the young people, you know, now you are a young girl, you have just been married, you know, now you used to wake up at around 7, now you must wake up at 6, because you have to take care of him, and this. Excuse me. I thought because now there are 2, they will assist each other. Hii ya kusema utaamka mapema upike mpio, imeandikwa wapi katika Biblia? Why is it written? You know, we interpret it through our culture. Because in the Kikuyu culture, the woman is supposed to do that. Excuse me. Tuache unyani. Just go back. It is up to us. It is up to us. My prayer is that we have decided to change. Na hii unyani haiko na wanaume tu pekee. The woman, when you are quiet there, protecting your home, you will be killed and you leave those children that you are protecting. You have to speak out. Jesus spoke out. We are speaking out. How many of us are going to speak out in this hall? How many? Are you sure? I want now to be a politician. I want to be a politician. I'm done. If I say Arambe, you say change. Meaning, we are going to change this country. We are going to change our homes. We are going to change our churches. We are going to change our society. It costs you nothing to shout. Let the monkeys here know there is change. Are we together? Arambe. Sijasikia. Niamuka bwana tu nimesikia. Mbona mnaogopa? If you are with me at the back, Arambe. Mambo ya incest, Arambe. Mungu awabariki.
Thank you, Bwana Nyaga. We even forgot we were hungry. Thank you for that. So before we do the launch, just give a few minutes to our pastor, Pastor T, to give us a keynote, and then we have our officials. Okay. So let's do the launch, and then we'll have Pastor T conclude for us, because we have one of our guests who are supposed to leave. So at this juncture, I want to invite the following at the launch, and my team. Are we ready? Kindly come up so that I give you the responsibility. I want to invite Dr. Masha, Emeritus Bishop Badoyo, and his wife, Mama, I want to invite Honorable Margaret to be with us, Kagia, Daktari, and Pastor T, the team there, come. I hand over to Dr. Masha. I know she has a new name. I won't use it here. So I will allow her to lead the process and officially launch the campaign. So welcome. Thank you. So I think at this juncture, I want to give this opportunity to Dr. Kagia first to tell us about the campaign, and then we hand over to Bishop Adoyo on behalf of everyone. He'll be the one to make a few remarks, and then we commission the campaign. Thank you.
Nimeona mambo ya kushangaza hapa nchini kwetu. Mama anasema bintiye kamnyang'anya mume. Baba japo amenyamaza, anashuku kijana wake kamfanya bintiye kuwa mke wa siri. Mambo haya tumetoa wapi? Na hata kimila ni miko, uzunguni hata Uarabuni, Uchinani na barani Afrika ni haramu.
All of us have been infiltrated by what is happening. The brings about this.
Nimeona mambo ya kushangaza hapa nchini kwetu. Mama anasema bintiye kamnyang'anya mume. Baba japo amenyamaza, anashuku kijana wake kamfanya bintiye kuwa mke wa siri. Mambo haya tumetoa wapi? Na hata kimila ni miko, uzunguni hata Uarabuni, Uchinani na barani Afrika ni haramu. Hakuna dini inayokubali mapenzi haya kwa jamii. Mbona tunakosa aibu? Tukomeshe tabia hii. Tukomeshe tusijelaaniwa. Ni aibu iliyoje kuona uchi wa mzazi. Tukomeshe, mzazi huyu ni mwanao, naomba jiheshimu. Tukomeshe. Atakajetia kitanzi juu mimbani ya baba yake. Kijana alokuwa mchangamfu shuleni yoka peke yake. Ulevi ni hatoki. Msichana alokuwa wa kanisa, kisa ndugu alimshawishi mimba watoe alomtia. Yana madhara, ongeza hasara. Mambo haya yanachukiza. Mungu mbinguni, hasira zinampanda. Tutubuni wenzangu, tusijejiletea laana. Tukomeshe tabia hii. Tukomeshe tusijelaani. Maana hii ni laana iliyoje kukamilisha wazazi. Mzazi huyu ni mwanao, jiheshimu. Tukomeshe tabia hii. Jambo hili liongelewe shuleni hata nyumbani, kanisani, misikitini, redioni pia na runinga. Tuelimishane, tuelezane, tuyakuze maadili kwa jamii. Pamoja tuungane, tukomeshe tabia hii. Tukomeshe tusijelaaniwa. Ni aibu iliyoje kuona uchi wa mzazi. hapa nchini
Clap our hands, please. Amen. Amen. Amen.
kwetu. Mama anasema bintiye kamnyang'anya mume.
So we say, God,
Amenyamaza, anashuka kijana wake, kamfanya bintiye kuwa mke wa siri.
Thank you for that. I think with that, we are almost at the tail end of our event. At this time, we want to
Some men abuse the trust and vulnerability of their daughters, nieces, and cousins. They defile the teens, leaving them wallowing in trauma, stigma, and shame.
Cases of fathers and uncles defiling their daughters and nieces are high in Trans Nzoia County. Elizabeth, not her real name, says her estranged husband has been sexually molesting their 4-year-old son.
Some men abuse
Where he has the boy for weekend visits.
47-year-old man from Kagambwa village in Gatondo North, Kiambu County.
Mwisho nilikuja nikabia mama yangu.
To be honest, most of the stories are...
His 15-year-old daughter.
Mimi nilishikwa ni baba yangu na akaniambia nisiseme hii mambo kwa sababu nikisema naweza kufa. Na sikusema hiyo mambo, lakini hapa mwisho nilikuja nikabia mama yangu.
To be honest, most of the stories are just hard and heartbreaking. But this girl, she was only 7 years old. So that means she began being abused when she was much less younger. And it was by the father and the grandfather. And
Some men abuse the trust and vulnerability of their daughters, nieces, and cousins. They defile the teens, leaving them wallowing in trauma, stigma, and shame.
Cases of fathers and uncles defiling their daughters and nieces are high in Trans Nzoia County. Elizabeth, not her real name, says her estranged husband sexually molesting their 4-year-old son whenever he has the boy for weekend visits.
47-year-old man from Kagambwa village in Gatondo North, Kiambu County is in custody after he allegedly impregnated his 15-year-old daughter.
Mimi nilishikwa ni baba yangu na akaniambia nisiseme hii mambo kwa sababu nikisema naweza kufa. Na sikusema hiyo mambo, lakini hapa mwisho nilikuja nikabia mama yangu.
To be honest, most of the stories are just hard and heartbreaking. But this girl, she was only 7 years old. So that means she began being abused when she was much less younger. And it was by the father and the grandfather. And the effects of this abuse, besides the ones that we know would come because of sexual abuse, were so extreme that they triggered diabetes in this young girl. So from the age of 4, 5, that's when the father and the grandfather started abusing her. And by the time that we were rescuing her, she had kind of lost her ability to think straight. She wasn't playing, she wasn't talking, she would only nod or do the...
Incest is actually a vice. And if you can go to the scriptures, be reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter number 18, from verse number 6 to verse number 17. None of you shall approach anyone who is near or kin to him to uncover his nakedness. I am the Lord.
What is interesting is that whereas this was forbidden from a religious perspective, scientifically, having relationship with a person who is related to you has also its own consequences. In fact, even in animals, we are told you should not allow animals to inbreed. So it is not just a religious thing. It is actually a biological thing. It has its own effects.
The family is the bedrock of society, and the father is the protector, the provider, the one who affirms the children. He's the keeper of the moral code in the family.
Unfortunately, we have predators in the family. What we'd call sex pests, who see family members not as family members, but they see family members as a way of gratifying the sexual deprivation.
How does a man in his right mind decide he's going to sleep with his 10-year-old?
I think it's an act of being a coward. It's an act that makes you are not man enough to really approach other women. Now you're taking advantage of young girls who cannot say no just because you have money, just because maybe you're able to create threats.
So incest happens even in the perfect homes. But in those perfect homes, the desire to remain perfect in the public eye is more than for a person who is even in the low socioeconomic status. The desire for a family that has honor within the community, if it's a religious family or people who are wealthy, to not talk about an element within their household that is a cause of shame is higher. And that's what we want.
You don't know who to trust anymore. Who has destroyed us? Who has taken away the morals? Who has crushed the fiber that we stand on? Sometimes it's our own self.
It is one thing reporting that case to the police station, recording statements, opening a very good case file, taking that charge to court. It's another getting the witnesses, including the victim, to come and testify for court. There is that presumption that now this victim may be going to give evidence against their parents. That's their father, biological father. And then the fear that after giving evidence, they might find themselves with nowhere to go. They have no home to go. And they are scared they might not get the right shelter. They might not get somebody to pay their fees. They might not get somebody to take care of them financially. That is one of the challenges we have, and we have seen even the victims refuse to come testify.
When it's incest, because then it's within a family setting, you'd find that sometimes, and it's repeated violence. So then the child is also threatened. They're not able to share. They're actually even confused because this is someone who's supposed to protect them. So there are a lot of, would I say, variables that come into play in terms of the reporting. And sometimes you have what you call late presentation. So you'll have a child who's been abused over and over, and sometimes even conditioned, sometimes even given gifts and all that. So they're all confused and wondering even who to report to.
When you're in that situation, you're not able to think, rationally. You're in a frightful mood. Maybe society has rejected you, family has rejected you, the church is condemning you.
We have people today who cannot stand up to be counted. We say, this is wrong, we are going a different direction, we're going to swim up the current. People are looking for money, prosperity, and so that which brings me money, I don't speak about. That which helps to build this, somebody's reported has done ABCD, but the other day he gave a tithe of $1 million, so you cover that. So worldliness has come into the church.
The religious leaders could also do a little bit more. by checking how the members of their religious organization are doing?
I would say education is everything. The more we empower the community, the more we'll be able to deal better with the gender issues that we are having in the society.
And I would also want to urge parents to talk to their children and talk openly. And sometimes on who you bring on board. And let this child from a very early age, because they age according to their understanding. Let this girl know that there are parts that are not supposed to be touched. Let them know this is your uncle. Let them know this is your cousin. Let them know that even if your father touches you, you need to talk about it.
We have to preach the gospel that you are so precious, valuable, and priceless. No one has the permission to tamper
with your body. That's why it's important for us to tell our children and our teens
that if any of these things happen, indecent acts being done on you, speak out. Because when we keep silent, it grows. One philosopher said, bad things happen because good people keep quiet. The cycle will continue because you kept quiet.
By speaking out and joining advocacy efforts to end incest, we can diminish the damage it brings to communities and lower the number of pariah children born as a result of incest. Incest is prevalent in society, yet it is a taboo that many are not willing to discuss. And when spoken of, it is done in hushed tones.
If the society knows it's a taboo, why don't they stop this taboo behavior and action before it brings a pregnancy? So the society has to wake up, and everybody has to wake up. We have to realize that we are being hypocritical by not addressing this issue.
This contributes significantly to more cases of blood relatives committing atrocities against children.
As a country, to fight these fights, we need the support of every person. It's an evil fight that we are facing, and we need everybody to be at the forefront to fight it.
It was 100% incest. And majority of the young people are having sex with their cousins. It's almost becoming a norm. And I think we are socially unsocial. Our high schools have become the breeding grounds of wickedness and perversion. And I'm so excited we are gathered in Bomas. I once worked in an NGO. We had amazing presentations, a lot of grammar, but nothing on the ground. I pray that this will not be another NGO, too much grammar, take free tea and photos, media presence, achieve objectives, tick our targets, and go back home and leave a dead generation. My prayer is that we have a responsibility, and that responsibility has to be done with us. I want to appreciate the facilitators. The Bible says one day David went to war, only to realize there were other 4 new giants, and he did not have the power to fight the giants because they were not the giants of his generation. The battle we have is the battle of our generation. The dynamics are unique. The madness and craziness is unique. We are talking about incest. Every school is now struggling with LGBTQ. It's so wicked that if nothing happens urgently, a generation is at the brink of being lost. And when I look at the crisis, because the question must be, how did we get here? One of the things we need to understand, the most affected is a generation called Generation Z. And that generation was raised by busy parents. And they were busy making money, they were busy making a future, And today those parents, all they can show their children is their medals. But that generation will never change when we show them our medals. They will change when we show them our scars. I'll finish with this philosophical statement that was said by somebody. Show me your medals, you intimidate me. Show me your scars, you inspire me. Show me the distance between your medals and your scars, you inspire me. We can't run outside there with our medals. We need to run outside there with our scars. A generation is bleeding. And I'm so excited. We need the data, because anytime we preach, we have to speak this. What I do is that every weekend, there is a team reaching to a minimum of 5,000 students every Sunday. We bought a big tent. Right now it's in Kitale. I need to be in Kitale today, whereby every month we do county rallies. And you can never preach the gospel to the young people without touching the social issues. I have a program on TV, KBC. We are going to shout, because we must deliver our generation. A man said, one voice can be silenced, but when the voices gather, that becomes a sound. You can stop one soldier, but you can never stop an army. You can stop one fire, but you can never stop a flame. So when we join our sounds, when we join our voices, it's going to be a sound of change. When we join us together, it's going to be an army. And when we all come together, we're going to be a flame that no man is going to stop. Because of the interest of time, mine is to charge you. Let's step out. We only want to have one generation to inspire, to change, and Kenya will be a good nation. May God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor T. When I told one of my colleagues we are looking for Pastor T, he told me, I don't know him. When we just Googled, she could see your work. So I want to thank you for the work you are doing with the young people. Actually, Dr. Marsha, he was part of our campaigners when we started the YUP program. So we are happy that he's kept the work going, even with minimal support. Thank you, Pastor. I want to take this opportunity to invite one of our colleagues to give a vote of thanks, because I can see tired faces and the tea is out. Mr. Joshua Gitonga is one of our colleagues. I'm not alone. We are a team. Before I do that, let me, Joshua, specifically thank Dr. Kagia and my team, Dr. Njogu and the team that worked on this, Jedida, and the technical team there. That is a team that has been behind this. So I want to specifically single out those ones and give them my gratitude. Joshua, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ruben. I think as I start, allow me to request that we truly appreciate everybody. Let's start from there. Let's put our hands together and appreciate everybody who is here. Why I have requested that we do that is, number one, from the time that we started here, we've had wonderful speakers. I mean, just having a speaker after another one and just coming out clearly and saying that we need to do something is something worthy. I mean, this is great. We know that we have the church leaders, people who have continued to show us direction in this country when it comes to religious leaders. From the Christian faith to Hindu to Muslim, I mean, bring that together is something we say thank you. Thank you so much. And we look forward to that time that out of the platforms that we have, we will be able to take this forward. We've seen that we can't keep quiet. We have really to say, to say something. And I believe the forums that we have, this is going really to take us far. For the participants, I know we have so many of them here. We have the team that was planning. Can we put, I mean, let's appreciate the team that planned this. That team has helped us to start a journey, as we've been told. And we know where that journey is taking us. With what we've heard, I believe the next time that we meet here, we'll be talking a different language altogether. I'll tell you, where I work under Dr. Marsha, I deal with data, strategic information. And Pastor, that is what you've asked for. And we will ensure that we give you that data so that when we meet here again, we can tell whether we are improving or what is happening. But one thing that we are confident is that the data will show us after our action, then we will see reduction. With that, thank you so much. And for us from National Systemic Diseases Control Council and the planning team and all of us, thank you so much. Have yourself a good day and enjoy as we go for, is it breakfast at this point? Thank you so much. Asanteni.
Thank you, Joshua. At this time, I want to invite Sheikh Ali Abdallah from Machakos to close for us. And this is the announcement. After he has prayed, we'll allow this table to go out for the breakfast, and then we'll come back, all of us proceed as we announce, make other announcements on logistics. Thank you. Welcome, Sheikh.
Ningeomba tusimame kidogo. Kwa jina la Mwenyezi Mungu mwingi wa rehema. Mola mtukufu, tunakushukuru kwa yale yote umetutendea siku hii ya leo. Tunakuomba kwa ajili ya taifa hili letu, mipango yote inayopangwa kwa ajili ya afya za jamii zetu na nafsi zetu, Mola mtukufu tunakuomba uifanikishe. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba kwa ajili ya wizara yetu ya afya na mambo ya jamii yote kwa jumla, wape hikma na ujasiri wanapopanga mipango kwa ajili ya maendeleo ya nchi hii yetu na afya zetu. Tukiwa hapa Mola mtukufu, tumelaunch hii Stop Incest. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba uiwezeshe. Tunakushukuru kwa ajili ya wale ambao kwamba wote walioshiriki katika mipango hii, tukiongozwa na ndugu zetu, madaktari wetu kutoka NSDCC. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba uwape hikma na ujasiri kwa kazi nzuri wamekuwa kiifanya. Mola mtukufu, tunaamini kuna dhulma zimefanyika kwa ajili ya vijana wetu na haswa kwa ajili ya wasichana wetu. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba uzime maovu hayo. Mola mtukufu, hakuna lolote linalokushinda wewe. Wewe ni muweza wa kila jambo. Tunakuomba zima maovu haya ambayo kwamba yameenea katika jamii. Kila ukitembea kona katika nchi hii yetu, unapata wasichana ambao kwamba wameacha mashule, wameacha maisha yao mazuri. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba zima maovu hayo ambayo kwamba yameenea katika jamii. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba kwa ajili ya familia ambazo kwamba hazijiwezi, zinaona labda hiyo ni nafasi ya kuweza kuitumia kwa ajili ya kipato. Mola mtukufu waonyeshe mwangaza, waweze kuziangalia familia zao. Tunakuomba Mola mtukufu, familia ambazo kwamba zimeingilia mambo ya drugs, ambapo kwamba ni rahisi kufanya maovu kama haya, Mola mtukufu tunakuomba uwalinde na uwaepushe na maovu kama hayo. Tukiwa hapa Mola mtukufu, tuna mengi tuliyozungumza, tunaenda kuyatekeleza. Kila mmoja amepata mafunzo, na hasa facilitator wetu, madaktari wetu wametuzungumzisha mambo ya muhimu. Mola mtukufu tuende tukayafanyia kazi, si kuzungumza hapa na kutoka na kwenda kukaa chini. Umeagiza katika vitabu vyako vitukufu, imani na matendo ndicho kinachotakikana. Mola mtukufu, tukiwa hapa tumepanga mengi. Mweke mbali shetani asiweze kuingia katika mipango yetu tuliyoipanga, kwani yeye ni mharibifu. Tuepushe naye. Anaweza akatuharibia mipango mizuri tuliyoipanga. Ameweza kuharibu jamii zetu, ameweza kuharibu familia zetu, ameweza kuharibu nafsi zetu. Mola mtukufu tunakuomba utuepushe naye, ili iwe rahisi kuyatekeleza yale ambayo kwamba tuliyopanga siku hii ya leo. Tukitoka hapa, kuna yule anaenda safari ya mbali na ya karibu, zote ni safari. Tunakuomba utupeleke salama. Tunaenda kupata kikombe cha chai kiwa na manufaa katika mili yetu. Tunaomba haya yote kwako yanawezekana. Amin. Amin.
So I will want to request we allow this table to go out as I invite Dr. Njogu to make a few announcements on logistics, because we have some of us who travel from far. Dr. Njogu, are you around? Vile wanatoka kidogo, dakika moja tuwape habari kuhusu
Nimeona mambo ya kushangaza hapa nchini kwetu. Mama anasema binti kamnyang'anya mume.